Good morning, everyone. I was watching a video last night when I have an indoor rower and I was rowing. I was watching a video of this beautiful family who live in a very cold part of the world, and they were saying that their exercise can be really tricky because they have to exercise inside, and it's like minus 50 degrees or something, not Celsius, I don't think, obviously, but it was all snowy and freezing, and it meant that they're not going to be going outside very much to do their exercise. So they were utilising their house, walking up and down their stairs, and it gave me a bit of an idea. I thought that it'd be really cool to film my walk, and I live in this beautiful part of the world, as you can see, where we don't have snow in this area of the world. I live in Queensland, Australia. I'm pretty sure we do have snow in some bits, but it's super, super rare. So I thought it would be nice to film my walk. And if you're in a place where you are inside at a gym and perhaps you're on a treadmill or you're walking up and down the stairs in your house, although I would caution you to just be careful walking up and down the stairs while there's a screen that you're looking at, that you can come on my walk and enjoy our beautiful weather. And come along the path that I'll be walking today. So you can see that it's quite an overcast day today. It's summer here. We are right in the middle of summer. So it's quite warm. It's probably about 30 degrees Celsius. You can see it's overcast. There's quite a lot of blue in the sky, but not on the screen right now. We tend to get these kind of big voluminous clouds. That's not the name for them. I can't remember what they're called. Columnus, I think. And they really build up. They're full of moisture and they make the air really, really humid. So, morning. They make the air really, really humid and really and kind of shroud us in this layer of cloud, which I really like in the winter because I feel the cold. Our winters are very, very mild, but in the summer it certainly makes for a really humid experience, so I really like the humidity. It helps me breathe. I know that it impacts some people's lungs, but for me, it helps me breathe. And it's a great way to start the day, going for a walk. I usually walk in the mornings, so my videos are going to probably be in the morning most of the time. And what I'll try to do is put some different places in. We tend to walk the same route every day. Sometimes it's a little bit different, but if you'd like to come on my walk with me to different places, then give us a like and a subscription, and comment down below what the type of thing you'd like to see. So lucky to live on a peninsula. It's an area, it's quite a small little peninsula, and it's surrounded by the most beautiful water. The only thing is, when you're walking, of course, there's not like these amazing views of the water, so gotta look sideways. But it would be great to go for a walk along the boardwalk and film one of these, and you would see how busy it is, where we've got lots and lots of people who walk and ride and scoot, and just how the community can be out and about all at the same time. So yeah, that's something that I'm happy to do. It'd be great. I've been getting a few emails with suggestions for things. So thanks to those of you who are writing to me rather than commenting. I really appreciate that. So this could be really helpful for your fitness journey if you're taking one, or even if you're not. Some people really need to have that sense of getting out, and I am one of those people. It's really great for your mental health to be able to get out and walk. It's something that it's really interesting in the research. It talks about how healing and how helpful being out in nature, breathing fresh air, as fresh as it can be wherever you are. It depends on where you are in the world, I suppose. Breathing some fresh air, getting some sunlight if you're lucky enough to live in a place where there's lots of sun, and engaging with people. I was actually just listening to a podcast by Mel Robbins yesterday about the importance of combating loneliness. Loneliness is like this awful epidemic, especially in this day and age where some people are not contacting being connected with family and friends for 2 weeks. That's such a long time. I'm so lucky now that I live with my beautiful family. My mum and dad are nearby. My sister is really close. My brother is nearby, but further afield with his partner. But I had a period of time where I was really, really lonely. My little boy wasn't well. I was on my own. And COVID was hitting Australia, and we were given lockdown time periods. So it was like for a period of 6 weeks or whatever, we're in lockdown. And it meant that I didn't actually get in contact with anyone else. And the issue with that was I lived in an apartment building. So we had a small apartment. My boy was 6 years old, 6.5, and I was having to school him and work and try not to feel this desperate, gnawing loneliness that I know a lot of people felt at that time. I could certainly connect with friends and family over the phone, but it didn't happen. I think everyone was just trying to figure out what to do, and for some of us that technology was quite new to us. It was the first time I used the Microsoft program Teams, and in kind of learning new programs and trying to school your child and being on your own. I can't describe how kind of isolating it was to not speak to an adult for weeks and weeks and weeks. And the interactions that I ended up having were the ones that Mel Robbins talks about in her podcast, and I'll see if I can link it. She talks about how she's talking with this psychologist whose name I can't remember, so apologies to that wonderful therapist. But she's talking about how important those tiny social moments are if you are lonely and you don't have somebody to connect with. So it's things like talking with the cashier when you go grocery shopping, or saying hi to someone on the street as you pass them, and stopping for my little doggy here. And I had more and more of those. Even though we were isolated and in lockdown, it meant that those became really important. I always speak to the people who serve me and the people that I pass when I'm walking. But I started to really value those small interactions with other adults. And it did touch on the loneliness aspect. For me, it was twofold. It was both liberating because it meant that I'd finally connected with another adult, but it was also sorrowful because I realised that I was so desperate for that connection with people that I'd kind of hung on to those tiny little interactions. So yeah, it was a really interesting time, and I'm really glad that the world has moved on from that now. I don't know what would happen if it happened again. I think Australians in general were somewhere between compliant and frustrated. But yeah, look, it was a hard time. So I'm lucky enough to now be connecting with my family every day. I see my parents at least once a week usually, which is awesome. I'd love to see my brother and sister more, but you know, life is busy. So yeah, I'm also really grateful to work in a really awesome place here in Brisbane. Like I said, we're surrounded by water here in Redcliffe, where I live, this peninsula. And I've always loved the water, but I've never really understood boats. I don't get it. Until I had this awesome, and it wasn't a digital experience, but I had the opportunity to berth one of the biggest cruise ships in the Sydney harbour at Circular Quay there. If you haven't seen it, have a Google. It's quite a kind of iconic place in Australia, and I didn't do it physically, obviously. It was a digital experience, but boy did I understand how cool it was to be the master of a ship at that point. And I'm lucky enough to work in an area that manages the safety of recreational ships. So not the cruise ships, but the ships that people are taking out here on a day-to-day basis. And yeah, it's really cool to be able to engage in those safety messages and make sure that, well, try to help people be safe out on the water, and then go home and walk along the water's edge and see everyone out in our beautiful bay. So unfortunately, I'm not currently down by the bay. I am just walking in our local streets. You can see the cars going by and probably hear them, so apologies for that. But hopefully, if you are on your own, perhaps you haven't been able to get out, you have a sense of being able to be out today, being able to connect with someone. I'd love to interact with you. If you want to put a comment down, I'll answer it in my next video. And yeah, I hope that this gives you the sunlight and the exercise and the connection you need, if not the outdoor feel that perhaps you might be looking for. We're the Redcliffe Peninsula here has lots of schools and amenity parks and other things like that. I'm going to have to stop for my little dog. I'll be back. This is Poppy. Poppy! Hello! She's accompanying me on all of my walks that I'm lucky enough to take. Now, what was I talking about? We have lots of parks and beautiful areas I'm not sure that this is one of the beautiful areas, but we are passing a school, which is why it's quite busy here this morning. It's the first week back, so some of these kids are coming in for their first day today. I remember back when I started high school, and it's funny, it seems so few years ago, and yet it was quite some time ago. So I've sent my little boy off for his very first day of high school yesterday, and he did great, which is great. We haven't always had a good experience with school, and being willing to be there and engaging in class stuff. Life is hard sometimes, even for the little ones. So I'm really thankful that he's had a relatively easy experience this year so far. It's been a day though, so we'll see. But yeah, it's so funny. I reflect back and I think, I thought I was so grown up, and I was, getting my timetable and sorting out my books. And then yesterday, my little guy, he had no idea about that stuff, He received a timetable and it wasn't clear what the subjects were. They've all got codes. They don't say what the subject is. It's just like a SCI as science and ENG as English, which is pretty easy, right? But then you get DTFS and you think, what the hell is that? So that's digital technology and food studies, which we figured out after some time. But yeah, so we've been through all of the codes and figured out what subjects he's got. He was one of the rare schools in Redcliffe here, where you, maybe even in Queensland, I don't know, they offer so many electives that even the first grade of high school get to choose. Usually here in Australia, you kind of do every subject in the first grade of high school, and then after that you get to choose. But yeah, he's been lucky enough to already, well, I don't know if it's luck, but flick some of those subjects that he thinks he won't like. I secretly wished that he'd be exposed to all of them to really get the opportunity to see what those could be like. I love teaching piano and flute and ukulele, so I was really disappointed to see that he chose to avoid music. But then, classroom music is different to learning an instrument, and perhaps he's happy with learning his trumpet. So yeah, he's chosen his subjects. We've gone through all of the different codes to figure out what he's got, and we're waiting just to confirm that is his correct timetable, and then we will be colouring it in to make sure that he can really easily figure out what classes he's going to, and all his books are going to match the colour of his timetable. So if he's got a little red square, that means it's maths, and his maths books are all red. He's got calculator and a maths set, one of those ruler and compass sets that's in a red folder, which just really helps him just to be able to visually kind of just grab the stuff he needs and goes. So yeah, I don't know what they're doing today. I don't know if they're doing classes, so we've sent everything off thinking that perhaps they are, and we'll find out, I guess, at the end of today. So high school, it's a big step. And I will be heading back after my lovely walk today to do my work. My partner is asleep. Before you judge, it's 7 o'clock in the morning, and he works night shift, so He got home at about 6, I believe, and probably got off to sleep at about 6:30. So he will be snoozing most of the day, ready to do it all again tonight. I really take my hat off to shift workers. We were at the doctor yesterday and the doctor was talking about his experience with shift work in a hospital and how detrimental it can be to some people. He said that, some people can really manage it really, really well, and other people really struggle with that change to the body's system, being able to manage being awake all night all of a sudden, I'm one of those people. I would be awful. So I am not, I say I'm never going to be a shift worker. Of course, we don't know what the future could hold, but I know that it would be really, really tricky for me. I don't think I would be a good shift worker. So I really take my hat off to those people who are shift workers and keep us all safe at night. Mostly emergency services, I think, are shift workers, but there's got to be plenty of others. So if you're a shift worker, thank you for your service, thank you for your hard work, especially if you're in emergency services, thank you. I think that it's something that it's a lifestyle choice and it impacts your whole family. I just never really thought about it until I met my fiance, and now I know that night work means not being there in the mornings for the kids to get off to school, or if you are there in the mornings for the kids to get off to school, you're just like wasted, by the time you get off to bed. So my partner relies on me for getting the kids off to school. He's got 2 kids and I've got my little boy. I say little, he's not actually that little compared to me anymore, and he would hate to think that I was calling him a little boy because he's about to be a big grown-up 12-year-old. But yeah, so that's what we do. We try to be quiet in the morning when he's on night work and get the kids off to school, and it's easy for me to stay quiet. My work is silent, basically. It's just typing. So yeah, that's what we do in the morning. He does other shifts, of course, like most shift workers have other options for shifts, and they kind of cycle through. So they all have their different impacts on the family. And I think that that's something that's really under-considered and misunderstood in society. I think, at least in Australia, I think that a lot of people don't even think about the fact that if they're calling for an ambulance or if they're needing support in the night, that someone's there for them. And that means that that family is impacted, and it might be that they're on a shift that is 10 p.m. till 6 a.m. or it might be that they're on a shift from 2 p.m. till 10 p.m. and that means that they're missing out on the afternoon with their kids after school type thing as well. And I think that the impact of those changes, that lack of really consistent routine, can be huge, not just on the person who's doing the shift work, but on the family as well, the kids and their partner. So yeah, hail to you if you're a shift worker or if you are the partner of a shift worker keeping it all together while they're at work. Really take my hat off to you. It's time for me to clock off now and turn towards my home and go to work. So I hope that this has allowed you to feel connected and to have a sense of outside, a sense of a kind of sunny day. If you're in a place where there isn't much sun, there's a lot of busyness here on this road, so apologies for the noise of the traffic. You're strong and you're capable, and I hope you have an awesome day. And if it's night, for evening for you, and you're joining me on this little daytime walk, I hope you have a great night. So I'd love it if you liked and subscribed. Please consider that. And I will see you in my next walk. Thanks for joining me.